Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Fiume, here live at the IFA2024 National Convention, and looking forward to interviewing some folks at this year's event. I've got Dominique from BrightFran. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Frank, how are you?
Great. So tell me, what is BrightFran? What do you guys do?
We consult with franchise companies to help them to grow.
And you specifically focus on emerging brands?
We do, Frank. We find that people coming into the space need help. They want to grow smarter. They don't want to just do it with lots of bruises, right? They don't want to stumble along the way.
So is it typically, Dominique, that someone will come in and say, look, I've got a business, I want a franchise, and you take them from start to finish, or is somebody who's already franchised their concept and you're kind of getting them through the grind of franchising?
We do both. So somebody that's got a great business concept, that they have proof of concept, that it's going well, they've got profitability and all of that, and they're ready to roll, we will help them to get into franchising and to learn the ropes of franchising, how to franchise responsibly, like we're talking about today.
Right.
So.
What's been one or two of your biggest takeaways here at the IFA?
Oh my goodness. Some of the general sessions have been amazing, and I love Deion Sanders, like his energy, right? Talking about how he enjoys life. Like, we really need to enjoy life. And that gives us energy to do what we do well. But then the speaker today that was talking about how to get your people energized and connected to the why of what they do, I like the examples he gave on that, because that's really where people get their energy from, again, to do a great job and serve clients well.
Back to Deion.
Yeah.
What is your rabbit?
Oh, my rabbit. You know, my rabbit is, I want to create generational wealth, right? And I want to teach other people to do that. I've had the pleasure of helping people because I came from the franchise development space. So
okay.
I've worked with some amazing franchisors and franchisees, and to see people transform their lives like that, where they go from being in that space of barely getting by to actually being very successful and wealthy, and all the opportunities that brings for people, that really lights me up. And so not only doing that for myself, but doing that for other people and helping emerging franchisors do that for other people, I love it.
We'll always do more for other people than we ever will do for ourselves, right? So it's what drives me too. This is an incredible community, and you've been in franchising for a while. I'm curious to know, when it comes to emerging franchisors, Dominique, what would you say are maybe a couple of the biggest challenges that are so common that you see that you're dealing with day in and day out?
That's a good question. I think that the business model really gets challenged when you have to scale it, right? So the things that you know amongst yourself and your team are the things you kind of take for granted. Those are the things that you can't take for granted when you get to that franchise level. And so being able to really have well-documented systems and processes, thinking about your franchisees like your clients, your customers, it being just as important that they're happy and satisfied as anything else you do, that really, I think, is what's most important in that.
I got one more question for you, and that is, we've had this huge influx of private equity, right, involved in franchising. And they're getting involved with franchisors that are in earlier and earlier stages. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on what you think about the influence of private equity in the emerging franchise space and the challenges that there are with that.
I think that you really have to know who you are to get involved with private equity. If you're really secure in who you are as a brand, you have everything really tight, and you can stand firm with that, but yet learn and collaborate, I think private equity is a great opportunity.
Great, that's great advice. Dominique, thank you so much for being on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank, for having me.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands Podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands Podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.